This chin demonstration is highly compliant, and this is not what to expect from this video. Let me break down how we're going to approach this experiment. I recently did a video on Chinya, the joint manipulation of Kung Fu, a little similar to Aikido with a lot of the techniques, and it's something that's really difficult in my experience to pull off in sparring, is particularly hard sparring. And there's a lot of reasons, and I can only theorize about this, but today we're going to pressure test it and we're going to adjust the sparring. So normally in sparring you got your guard up, you'll touch gloves and stuff like this. This time around we're going to do a lot of short rounds to test the application, and if my partner shows up here, he's going to grab me somehow. I don't know if it's going to be here or to either hand, and he can use either hand he chooses. He's going to choose it, but every sparring round is going to start in this type of position, and then we can see if I can do something or if I can't. And it's going to go for 1 minute. Then once the timer hits, we do another round. And of course with these gloves it's a little more difficult, but I still have a lot of room to move with my hands, so we'll see how it goes. Here I'm explaining that my opponent can grab me in several different ways, and just as well I can use different chinna techniques or simply chinna concepts to respond. Neither of us know what to expect, we're trying to keep it realistic. Knowing that I hadn't trained these chinna applications under real pressure and resistance a lot, I wanted to do quite a lot of rounds. But unfortunately we didn't have a lot of time, so I was only able to record these few rounds I'm going to show. At the end of this video I'll break down the things which either worked or didn't work in terms of testing the chinna, and some thoughts on how I would approach this another time. Here we go. My opponent grabs my wrist and I try to go for wrist lock. I'm unable to get it. It was a knee strike. And we're in kicking range. In this round my opponent went a little bit too light. I felt not enough resistance, so I instructed him to go a little harder next time. There's a low side kick. There's a few low kicks. And there's a jab cross into a spinning hook kick, part of my Kung Fu skill set, but we're out of range for really testing any chinna. A lot of these chinna techniques are also not designed for situations during a fight. It's more before a fight, when someone grabs you or something. It's not the most common thing to happen during the altercation. And this is the only recording that I was able to record from 2 camera angles. Okay, time. Okay. For the next round I told my opponent to go a little bit harder, and once again he's allowed to either grab my wrist or my hair or my neck or my shirt, or grab in any kind of position where I'm able to try and test a chinna technique or just a chinna concept. He grabs a little higher on my forearm and I'm able to grab a hold of him. Continue until the time is out. There's a minute for testing each time. And I grab his leg and I sweep the other leg. That's takedown, more of a shui jiao, however you pronounce Chinese wrestling or even like Western wrestling technique. And the time ran out. Nice. So on to the next round. Here's a different opponent and he goes quite a bit more aggressive and harder. I'm gonna freeze this frame because it goes very quick. So he's got me in this position. I was focused on applying a joint manipulation, but instead he caught me off guard. So here goes. Here he sweeps me, brings me down to the ground, and some ground and pound. Trying to get him off of me, and here I'm very close. If I can get my head free, I've got a head and arm choke. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu technique, and I'm trying to get his back. Once again, if I can get my head out, got him. And here I'm in mount. I decide to plant my foot and go for the arm. I submit him. This being joint manipulation, but more technique of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu rather than the chinna part of my Kung Fu skill set. Unfortunately, we had no more time, so this is the final round. Let's see that. So he grabbed my wrist, grabbed a hold of him, go for a knee. And one more knee that landed pretty solid, but he disengages before I'm able to apply any kind of chinna technique or concept. There's a spinning kick, pretty close, and let's see what happens before it's timeout. And that's it. Unfortunately, we had no more time to continue testing these techniques, and I wasn't able to find any success applying the chinna part of my skill set, and it's also the part of my skill set I feel least confident in. However, I want to pressure test it some more. I've pressure tested the self-defense part of my skill set, which is partially from my Krav Maga training and partially stuff I've learned from Nick Drose's and other sources. I've pressure tested Kung Fu skills with weapons as well as animal styles, and my ground game, which is purely based on Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu pretty much, as well as my MMA skill set, which is partially Kung Fu with the kicks and mixed with some boxing and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Let me know if you want me to once again try and pressure test these chinna concepts. I think a reason why it was so difficult to apply, aside from only trying 4 times before we unfortunately ran out of time, it's not just the lack of experience really properly testing it. I think it's also due to the gloves, because my opponents were wearing these gloves for sparring or for amateur MMA fights, and they've got very thick padding, especially around the wrist, which made it difficult to grab a hold and control the wrist. Anyways, thanks for watching. After years of free content, I need a helping hand from some of you. You can support me with $3 each month or 5 or 10 for a few extra benefits. Thanks for listening. Visit my Patreon, that's patreon.com/Zen-Dragon.